All right, who's talking first? Fantastic. All right, please welcome the Genetic Modification in Agriculture Group.
Our group did Genetic Modification in Agriculture by Alec, Marley, Bella, Maddie, Emma, and Annie. Genetic modification is the modern use of biotechnology techniques to alter or change the genes of an organism. According to the Center for Food Safety, 75% of all processed foods in grocery stores contain genetically engineered foods. However, 60% of Americans believe they have never consumed a genetically modified food. This shows us how uneducated many Americans are on the food they consume, and this is very important for Americans because even if they're not highly interested in the topic, they are consuming the food, so they need to know the facts. So where did GMOs begin? In 1980, the first GMO patent was issued, and short 2 years later, in 1982, the FDA approved the first genetically engineered E. coli bacteria. In 1994, genetically modified foods arrived in grocery stores, and ever since they have been dominating the shelves. This is a prevalent issue in society today because we all are affected by it. For many Americans, this is an versus I can help the poor and hungry populations. However, they see the negatives such as organ defects, childhood diseases, sterility, infant mortality that are all associated with genetic modification in agriculture. No matter what side you take on the issue, it's very important that our group educates and regulates mandatory and labeling so that Americans know the food they are consuming.
There are two major GMOs in today's society. We're all in all countries and regions in which rice is the staple crop, vitamin A deficiency ran rampant. But golden rice came and fixed the problem by being genetically modified to have a provitamin in it. Provitamin is needed by the body to make vitamin A. The second important GMO in today's society is oil crops. Oil crops are a substitute for oil cakes in animal feed. They are less expensive and have more protein. The only problem was that they had maltose, uric acid, and anti-nutritional factors inside them, which made the milk bitter and very unnutritious. The GMO the GMO oil crop fixed the problem so that they no longer produce these. There are two major problems seen in GMOs today. One is the thought that they are unhealthy. The FDA has worked to make sure that this is not true. The people educated on GMOs fear that it may be released into the wild accidentally through gene leaking and what Emma said in her slide earlier, and also that pests and weeds will become tolerant to the GMOs.
The two major issues that need to be addressed pertaining to genetic modification in agriculture is that most people don't know how vastly grown these organisms are. According to the Grocery Manufacturers Association, around 75 to 80% of all processed foods contain a genetically modified ingredient. In America, there is also no law stating that these products have to have labels on them, so many people have no idea that they are consuming these organisms. People who do know about these organisms usually don't know exactly what they are or how they're made or what they can do to and for their environment. These organisms have greatly decreased the use of pesticides cost medicine, increased crop yields, and better food quality across the globe. Scientists have been doing lots of tests to find out if they have any negative health effects on humans, and they have found some evidence suggesting that they may cause problems during childhood or be related to some allergies, but none of this is proven in fact. They are also conducting experiments to find out what their future will hold, but they still are unsure. The second issue that needs to be addressed is cross-contamination. When a genetically engineered and a purely grown organism cross, there is a possibility that they can grow in the wild and unchecked, this leading to even more cross-contamination. And if in the future scientists discover that they have some detrimental effect and almost all of our purely grown organisms have been contaminated, then the population will suffer and there will be major consequences. There has already been a case of this in Switzerland where these organisms had already been banned, but they were already found on the side of the road. So it is important that we educate the public on exactly what these organisms are and that we regulate these organisms so there aren't future problems.
So above, you'll get to see a trailer for our documentary entitled GMO or GM No. Here on the screen, you'll get to decide.
Genetic modification in agriculture is the manipulation of the DNA of crops to give them desired characteristics for the benefit of the humans. Ecosystem disruption, cross-contamination, and inter-world hunger. What is it that these organisms do? Do you know? Donating to and funding our efforts will educate the public. There are many misconceptions about man's greatest adaptation, though, and that is why it is up to the people, to you, to fund this important educational and regulatory project that roams into the world of these innovations.
To address the issue of education first, we will broadcast a full-length version of the documentary we just watched a preview of. It will air on Discovery Channel, and it won't go for or against GMOs, but it will just inform the public about what they are and what they do to our bodies and the potential risks. Only 25% of people in the United States know what GMOs are, and this small number is because labeling is not mandatory in the United States, and that is the issue of regulation. And if labeling becomes mandatory, people will at least know what kind of foods they're eating and the potential risks that are involved. When people see like a food label that says natural on it, it doesn't necessarily mean it is a non-GMO food, because it is completely legal to say that a food is natural even if it is a GMO food. So by the year 2020, we want to have GMO foods and non-GMO foods correctly and properly labeled. And by June 2016, we want to have our documentary broadcasted on Discovery Channel called GMO or GM No.
For the logistics of the presentation, we'll be the brains behind the operation, and with the help of other smaller committees and organizations like the FDA, we hope to achieve all of our goals with good old-fashioned hard work and adequate funding. All of our efforts will be focused in Virginia, but we hope later to be able to expand our efforts into the rest of the United States as soon as our proposal is done. The costs of doing this will be $50,000 to create, distribute, and advertise for a documentary about GMOs. The next $30,000 will be used to accommodate and transport volunteers from school to school to educate today's youth about everything there is to goes to mandate GMO labeling in the state of Virginia. This is the most costly action, but we hope it will make it easier to identify which products are genetically modified. And last $10,000 of our budget is like a sort of like extra budget in case something goes wrong or we have an extra added cost. And if it's not utilized, we'll use it towards GMO labeling. Our total budget is going to be $50,000 overall, and we hope to have all of our efforts completed by 2020.
So genetic modification is a highly controversial issue that the public is grossly uneducated about. Now, it's become a blaring neutrality in the minds of the populace, which means they could like switch in their heads from positive to negative, and without so much as an indication that this is going to occur. Because of the unstable research that is related to this and around this topic. There are so many different ideas around it that the public cannot make up their mind, essentially. So what our group hopes to do is to mandate labeling. So the public will always know that they are consuming a genetically modified product. We hope to regulate these products in the marketplace with government cooperation. And we hope to educate the populace through our documentary that will air in the Discovery Channel in June of 2016. So it is up to the public to seek out the information that we provide. And we hope that our ideas will allow the attention of altruistic benefactors. So we thank you for your time. Any questions? Okay, yay.